Have you ever seen a piece of software that on paper is just perfect? No bugs, super fast, it checks every single box on the feature list. And yet, when it gets out into the real world, it's a complete flop. It's one of the most frustrating things in our line of work. Oh, don't even get me started, Sarah. We just launched this new data entry feature for a medical device. I mean, it is technically flawless. It passed every single test we could dream up. But the doctors, the nurses, they hate it. They're either using it completely wrong or just not using it at all. It's actually making things worse. And that's the wild part. The feature is working. The code is totally solid, but the feedback we're getting is that it just completely shatters their workflow. It's asking for patient info in an order that makes no sense with how they physically examine someone. So they're jumping back and forth, losing their place. It's creating chaos where there needs to be clockwork precision. Wow, okay, that is a tough spot to be in. It really sounds like your code is perfect, which tells me this isn't a coding problem at all, it's a requirements problem. My guess is the team built the feature exactly to spec, but they missed a whole bunch of unwritten rules about how that hospital actually functions day to day. So we all know the two big categories of requirements, right? You've got your functional requirements. That's simply what the system has to do. Then you have non-functional ones. That's how well it does it. Stuff like performance, reliability, security. But there's a third, super important category that so often gets overlooked: domain requirements. And this is where that third category, domain requirements, becomes so critical. See, these aren't about what a user specifically asks for or what a developer thinks is a cool idea. These are constraints that come from the world the software lives in. We're talking about laws of physics, government regulations, or, in your case, Mark, established medical workflows. They are the hidden rules of the game. Hidden rules. Yeah, that really clicks. We 100% miss the hospital's world rules, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around how something abstract, like a workflow, actually turns into a line of code. Can you give me a more concrete example?
Oh, absolutely. And I've got the perfect one. To really see this in action, we have to look at an example where the stakes are literally life and death: the software that runs a personal insulin pump. This isn't about making things easier, it's a safety-critical system. If this software makes a mistake, the results can be catastrophic.
So the pump's main job, its whole reason for existing, is to figure out the exact right dose of insulin. But how does it know what's right? Did a software developer just guess? Of course not. They implemented a domain requirement, a set of very specific rules pulled directly from decades of medical science on how to manage diabetes. This table right here is the perfect illustration. This logic didn't come from a user story or a feature request. This is a medical protocol. It's a non-negotiable rule from the medical domain, and the software has no choice but to obey it. This domain rule literally becomes the software's brain. Wow, okay, the domain rule is the algorithm. The core logic was decided by doctors and scientists, not programmers. That's crystal clear. But in our case, the rules weren't a mathematical formula, they were about how people interact. So how do domain rules shape things like user safety or even privacy? That's a great question, because you're right, they aren't always neat little equations. Let's look at another system, MentCare. It's designed to manage records for mental health patients, and it shows exactly how these rules can be about ethics, the law, and keeping people safe. With this system, pretty much everything comes down to two absolute, unshakable rules that come from its domain. First, patient privacy. That's not a feature, it's governed by medical ethics and laws. Second, patient safety. The system has an ethical duty to flag potential risks to the staff. These aren't just options you can turn on or off, they are hard constraints that dictate the entire system's architecture. Okay, the light bulb just went on. That single rule, that one sentence, dictates everything. It changes how you design the database, who can log in, what they see on the screen, the whole product. With our feature, we never even thought to ask about the hospital's workflow rules. We just saw a function we needed to build, and we completely ignored the world it was supposed to live in. And that's really the core lesson here. Finding these domain requirements isn't some extra credit assignment. It is a fundamental, non-negotiable part of gathering requirements. You can't just hope you'll stumble upon them. You have to actively go out and hunt for these hidden rules. So how do you actually find them? Well, you have to talk to the real-world experts, the doctors, the pilots, the factory floor managers. You have to watch how they work,
to see the implicit rules they follow without even thinking about it. And then you have to write them down as what they are, hard constraints. Because honestly, trying to build software without understanding its domain, it's like trying to build a boat without understanding anything about water. I don't care how well built your boat is, it's gonna sink.
So, as we wrap this up, the question you should be asking for your own projects isn't just, what should my software do? It's, what are the unwritten laws of the world my software is about to step into? If you can find those, you're on your way to building something that doesn't just work on a technical level, but something that truly succeeds out in the real world.